What is going on, YouTube people? Well, this one sucks to make. Wemby's done for the season. Shams tweeted out this afternoon, got 8.5 million views. I'm recording this Thursday mid-afternoon. It's about 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Probably just going to put this one straight up. I was driving. I had just gotten out of a meeting. I was on my way to get lunch, and I looked at my phone on my dashboard holder, and I only have Twitter notifications turned on for a handful of people, and Shams is one of them. I was listening to a podcast, and I just see it pop up, and it said Victor done for that. Like, what? What just happened? And this is crazy injury. The deep vein thrombosis, the DVT, has impacted other athletes. Brandon Ingram is one of the more recent cases that seems like everything has turned out okay. So obviously hope Wemby has a speedy recovery and is completely fine for next year's season. But this has massive hobby ramifications. And we don't really know yet. We're not going to know for a while if this is going to be a long-term thing or a one and done thing. So there's really a big question mark around this. And I'm sure a lot of the I told you so folks will be in the comments sections across social media talking about how I knew he was going to get hurt. It's blah, blah, blah. And you know what? You might have been right, but I don't think anyone really had this on the bingo card. Most people were thinking like foot problems or knee problems or, physical problems, not necessarily veins. And this is where we end up for this one. And it's a very scary situation. I mean, this could literally kill you. This is no joke, but it sounds like they caught it early. And like I said, hopefully he can make a full recovery. Now, Wemby's prices, yeah, of course they're going to go down. Are they going to go to zero? I'm sure I have some clickbait thumbnail that says they're going to. But actual zero? No, obviously not. Are they going to take a significant hit? I actually don't know about significant. They're going to take a hit, that's for sure. And we'll look at some prices here in a minute. In fact, I'll just throw it up now on screen. I have the Silver Prism currently going for 800. The base currently going for 90. At their low points a little bit before Christmas, silvers were going for about, let's just call it 650, maybe 675. Base prisms were going for around $75, give or take. They have seen, as you could see, a little bit of a run up recently to kind of gain back, like I said, getting back towards that $800 mark. Could it get back down to 600? Yeah, probably pretty easily. Could it get down to 500? Maybe. 400? I don't know that it gets that low, but we'll see. He's gonna take a haircut. It's bound to happen. You're not playing. You now have this nebulous injury that people are going to freak out about. But that being said, there are going to be a lot of people sitting there waiting with arms open wide for deals to fall into their laps. So I don't think he crashes too hard. And what do I mean by that? You're not going to see a Silver Prisms going for 100 or $200. 400, maybe 500, maybe 30-40% drop, maybe even a 50% drop. I think that's all on the table, especially if we get more news here in the short term that makes this sound like it's worse than what it actually was, because they really don't know the cause yet. And that's going to be the big determining factor on kind of what path this goes down. The larger implications here are, let's take a more macro approach, set Wemby to the side for a minute, is a wake-up call, potentially, and we have these all the time, for the hobby at large on the dangers and risks involved with holding high-priced cards of players that have done nothing. I mean, Wemby's great. He could be the next LeBron, the next whatever, the next face of the league, whatever accolades you want to put on him, it's all there for him if he could stay healthy. That's the big F. But anytime you are air quote investing, parting money, collecting, whatever you want to call it, in active players, These are the risks that you take, and they can really bite you, and it's completely out of your control. It could be something like this. It could be something off the court. We've gotten some stark reminders of that over the last few years. See Wander Franco, where just out of the blue, next thing you know, the collection that you had is now, in that case, almost a zero. In this case, we're not quite there yet. We got to see how this is going to play out. But this is now another red flag on the Wemby board in regards to his physical attributes. Great player, but the physical attributes were always a question mark because of his size, his length. Is he going to be more prone to things going wrong? That was always my scare with Zion. In the Zion-Ja debate, I was always on Team Ja because Zion scared the hell out of me. Now, both have had their issues over the years, but Zion has obviously had bigger problems with dealing with his weight and everything else going on with him. And we see how the hobby has treated him over the years. Now, if Wemby is back next year and he's running wild and doing all sorts of crazy things and they're getting into the playoffs, a lot of this will get forgotten very quickly because that's how the world works, not just necessarily sports cards. People will forget about this very quickly if he's playing very well, and his prices will run up again. Some people will see this as a buying opportunity. Some people will say, I'm done messing with this. And there's no wrong answer here. But this should be a stark reminder for everybody on the risks that you take when you hold this stuff, when you have a lot of money into one particular player, especially when they're expensive. If your PC is Dean Wade, it's not that expensive. You can collect the stuff. It's fun. It's dirt cheap. You don't have a lot into it. It's already basically at zero from the start. The stuff's not that expensive. If something crazy happens, it's not the end of the world. You're not financially killed by it. I am sure there are Wemby super collectors out there that are really feeling the pain today. If nothing else, this should be a little wake-up call to look around, flip through your Zion case, flip through your binders, flip through your whatever, look at your spreadsheets, and just make sure that you're not overexposed to one particular person. And if you are, maybe it's time to kind of trim the fat a little bit. Say, hey, do I really need all this stuff, especially if it's a lot of money? And once again, what is a lot of money for individual people is going to be different for everybody. But this is a reminder of what can happen in live sports, in dealing in active players. The vintage guys, you get to take a victory lap today. Vintage guys and Charizard collectors, you get the dubs today. I'll tell you who's really having a bad day. The guy that put, or girl, that put the Wemby Nebula 1/1 PSA 9 up for auction on Golden that ends in 2 days and 4 hours. That guy or girl is not having a great weekend. Or maybe the person that's not having a great weekend is the person that's currently leading with a $330,000 bid. Crazy timing all of a sudden to have this card running at auction. Rough break. I mean, don't get me wrong, $330K is still amazing for any modern card. I don't know what the estimates were for this to go to, but a lot of people are looking around today going, oh crap, between the seller and potentially whoever has the high bid on this thing. Now, the injury itself, listen, I'm no doctor. I will say, and I'll try to remember to link to this in the description of the video down below. Jeff Stotts is someone I followed for a really, really long time. He's an NBA injury expert. He runs InStreetClothes.com. He has an injury database that tracks all sorts of things. So when someone gets hurt, he can usually reference data from the database and talk about, how many games this person missed with a similar injury, this and that. And he did a really nice article that he linked to today that he wrote when Brandon Ingram had this same thing happen. And that's really, to me, it's the most similar comp. Chris Bosh, I don't know that they ever actually determined what his was coming from, but he had repeated clots over and over again. That's what forced him to retire. Brandon Ingram's was one and done. Brandon Ingram had it at the very end of the season, and I believe he was an all-star the next year, had a very good year. So Jeff has an article that he wrote back then when that happened in 2019, talking about the Brandon Ingram situation and kind of how things break down. And I'll link to this so you can read it yourself. This to me was the real key paragraph here. If it's linked to isolated trauma, then he'll be fine moving forward. However, if it's something basically genetic or something that caused this to happen, that is where things can get more complex. And that's going to be the determining factor here. Could Wemby never play an NBA game again? I have a feeling he'll make a full recovery and he'll be back. But it's on the whiteboard now. There's a small percentage chance that he could just be done that was not there yesterday. So those are the things you're going to have to factor in if you decide to go after Wemby's stuff, if you're a buy low person, or if you're someone that's holding on to it and just saying, man, is now the time I just get rid of this? I will say, typically in situations like this, and this one is a little bit different, a lot of the times the cheapest prices that you'll find are in the first couple of days, because everybody that wants to dump the inventory throws it all out on the market in the next 24 to 48 hours. They're just like, I'm done with this. And everyone tosses it online. There's not enough buyers to gobble up the supply. Prices drop sharply and quickly. And then everyone that dumps. Like, they're done. They're not selling anymore. Everyone that decided to hold is holding. Everyone that just bought all the stuff that got dumped onto the market, they're holding. So actually what happens is sometimes the supply dries up a lot quicker than you would think, because there's not as much new Wemby inventory coming to market because everyone that wanted to get out already did it. So everyone's in hold mode. So you have to kind of like wait out auctions, because a lot of people will list their stuff, but they'll put it up at buy it now, and it'll be at some dumb price if someone wants to go get it. And if not, they'll just let it sit and they're fine with it. There will be a lot of stubbornness. A lot of people will say, I'm not taking a loss on Wemby. I'm going to ride this out and see what happens. And that's an individual choice that everyone needs to make. There is no right or wrong answer here, because nobody has a crystal ball. No one has the power of foresight to know what is exactly going to happen here. You got to evaluate your own situation and decide what is the right decision to make here. Am I better off selling now and recouping the money and taking that money and putting it into something else? Or am I better off to hold the Wemby and see what it does and hopefully be able to sell it at a profit another day? Because remember, these are sports cards. Unless you have something truly rare, like a 101 Nebula or something crazy rare, you're going to be able to find this stuff anytime that you want it. So if you need capital, what you need to ask yourself is, say you have a Wemby Silver today, and I don't know what you bought into it at. They're currently going for 800. I'm sure that's going to change very quickly. Let's say they drop to 600. Let's say you have two of them. And you have to know yourself here. Are you better off to sit on the Wembys and do nothing? Or are you better off to get the $600? And can you turn that $600, or it would be $1,200 if you sold both of them? Can you turn that $1,200 over faster than you could waiting on the Wemby? Some people, the answer is going to be yes, because maybe they could go out and buy Rada Grade. They have active plays that they can make. They have inventory that they could get, that they can flip, whatever the case might be. For other people, they might not have the time to do all that running around. They might be better off to let it sit and roll. And that is a roll the dice. That is a risk. Something else could happen where cards go lower. He could come back and play great, and they may never hit today's prices again. That is 100% on the table as well. These are all things that you have to consider. I don't have to make any of these decisions. I own 0 Wemby cards. So these are not thought processes that I need to personally go through, but these are things that I have ran through before when in situations like this. Do you cut your losses and free up the cash, or do you ride it out? And that answer is going to be different for every single person. There is no right or wrong answer. Everyone's situation is going to be different. Those are my Wemby thoughts. As a fan of the NBA, this absolutely sucks. The upside here, if you want me to paint the Bob Ross pretty picture of what this could be in the future, the Spurs are going to suck the rest of the year. They are. They have Fox and Castle. That's not enough. I wouldn't be surprised if they start shutting those guys down and they go into full tank mode. What if they win the draft lottery? What if they get Cooper Flagg? What if they get another very high pick? Because the draft in general is pretty loaded beyond just Cooper Flagg. But you can already see it right now. Spring comes around, NBA draft lottery, Spurs logo. They win the lottery. Cooper Flagg and Wemby in the same front court. Wemby comes back like Brandon Ingram. No lasting issues. Everything's fine. His career continues on. He's now paired up with the Aaron Fox and Cooper Flagg, Stephen Castle, bunch of draft picks, bunch of cap space. Look out. That's the Happy Little Trees version of this story. We obviously know what the bad version of that story is that he can never play again. And I don't think that actually happens. But this does put a little bit of a cloud over him. People are going to have this nibbling in the back of their mind. It's definitely going to affect his prices. The question is how much? And time will tell that. We'll see that over the next coming weeks. As always, curious for your thoughts and comments down below. Catch you on the next one. Peace.